So we never actually had a season without a raffia presence around. Just because it's warm climate, I'm gonna buy one also. I buy one every year, every beginning of summer. And if someone's doing great work on, say, raffia barns here, it's easier for me, and I would feel more emotionally attached to the narrative of
because they're
of the
Greek.
barn. Yeah,
Also,
exactly. It means
yeah,
because it means something for me. It creates culture for me. I see than say going to Paris to buy one there.
hi, and welcome to Handbag Designer 101, the podcast with your host, Emily Blumenthal, handbag industry expert and the handbag fairy godmother. Each week, we uncover the stories behind the handbags we love, from the iconic brands and top designers to the creativity, craftsmanship, and culture that define the handbag world. Whether you're a designer, collector, or simply passionate about handbags, this is your front row seat to it all. Welcome, Ilya Sibyl Zidrali. I hope I pronounced your Greek name correctly, to Handbag Designer 101, the podcast. Ilya, you are the fashion editor of the Style title on Substack, where we connected. You are very Greek, correct? Welcome.
So Greek it hurts.
That's so cute. I have Greek friends, and it's one of the things that and by the way, I'm Greek. Did you not know that? And I said, yes, I know that. So I just want to lead in with you being Greek and also very much in fashion, right?
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, I
That's
mean, even though those two things don't actually seem to connect, because not many people know fashion coming from Greece, but it can happen.
yeah.
Yeah, it
No,
can happen.
I love that you are from Greece and your perspective is very much different than someone who would be, let's just say, from the United States, because I think even with the internet, even with having access to TikTok and Instagram and every other platform, we still see things through our own personal lens. And it's with everybody else's perspective where we have the opportunity to grow and learn things that we didn't see or know. And that really is a wonderful opportunity for everyone in fashion to know, like, okay, it's just not all about you. And we're able to pull from other people and obviously learn. So please enlighten us. What is your background and how you got started in becoming a fashion editor? Because then I absolutely want to dive right into trends.
Hmm. My first degree was in costume and theater, and I'm doing a PhD in fashion right now, writing about black in dress from a semiotic perspective. The fashion editor, the thing happened when I ended at Vogue and realized that I liked it, not Vogue, fashion. And then I decided to be a little bit more alternatively fashion editor. So saying the things they usually not being said. Yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. and,
um,
and I have the
so,
side by them.
and you have the what?
I have the Substack, the side title, where I'm freely to write things my own way, which doesn't often happen on assignments from other media outlets.
So, just to talk a little bit about that. So, you're still freelancing for, of course, for other outlets, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit about what you're being asked to write about for the outlets and then talk about the difference of that versus what you cover on your Substack? Because I think a lot of editors have moved to Substack purely for that reason, because there's what's paying them versus what they really want to talk about.
Especially, let's take accessories, and let's say we're doing a piece on trending fashion bags, which is the theme of the podcast. And I'm not in a media outlet that's a typical main media outlet, fashion outlet. I'm not allowed to express my It's like, say, in the craftsmanship of a bag that's paying their ad. So we have to keep track whose ads we're having, and then I'm not gonna say praise the bag of the season, but of their bag of the season, but let's say not writing if something isn't how it seems to be. If I have an objection on the craftsmanship or on the presentation of a curated luxury bag, it's very difficult to say it and inform the reader. That's the point of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's just dive right into trends. Where you sit, talk a little bit about what you think is happening in the market and how you think that's affecting how we shop.
Okay. Are we talking handbags or trends in general, fashion trends?
Let's talk trends in general, just for the sake, because then there's that trickle down effect that happens in that goes into handbags.
I recently had an interview with Anu Gala, who's a strategist, and I titled it "Trends Isn't What Trending," because I was trying to like narrow down the fact that we all come to the conclusion working in the industry that when we say trends isn't exactly what's happening in the broad zeitgeist of fashion. I
Right.
mean, there are micro trends and micro trends of micro trends that you can read. People using social media can easily get lost in this rabbit hole of things, and you can actually, like map down this is going to happen or this is a major trend. You can see colors, you can see shapes, but it's much more difficult to pin it down than it used to be.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I was just at a press preview and to see like one particular designer was bringing oxblood back, the color, and saying that it was a color they hadn't used in a long time, but they felt like it was going to come back into style. Anybody who's listened to the podcast knows I hate oxblood. It's the one color I hate the most. I hate that color, but I know it sells. And any designer who has a collection, I'm always like, make sure you have an oxblood because that's for people who feel like they're living on the edge of, okay, I don't want a black bag. I don't want a brown bag. I'm not comfortable enough buying a color of red or something. So let me get oxblood, which is this sad maroon
Yeah.
burgundy. It's just the saddest color ever. I hate it, but it sells. I'm so confused why people buy it, but it's just I'm like, go buy a yellow bag, but yellow doesn't really sell. But again, it's part of the quote unquote safe assortment that designers need to do. What are your thoughts in terms of how color is working right now?
I know that it's gonna make you happy because I don't like this kind of colors as well. Those black but not exactly black, something working in the place of black for everyday wear. We see color coming back, like little pops of color, and we saw that in the previous season. We had a lot of designer debuts, so we were kind of paying more attention, and there were many colors like bright orange, like what else? We saw this very, very mauve, intense mauve, and another color which was something like an very eccentric lilac, but
Right.
in very in consistency. And I think it's interesting to see them, but in smaller bags. I prefer it in smaller bags.
Yeah, I think most people feel more comfortable when they're doing pops of color to do it in a smaller bag because the smaller bags lend themselves not to the everyday. They lend themselves to social times and going out, which is where people are typically more comfortable taking those kinds of risks. The everyday big bag are not. Are there any designers that you think are having an impact in terms of overall style and design that most people would be like, "Oh, I didn't think about that."
We're talking about if we're talking bags, I would say Valentino did some really interesting embellished bags. I would love to have one actually. And I liked what Chanel did in their resort collection, who was presented some days before his podcast, using raffia in fringes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I like that.
Raffia has made a comeback. It's funny.
Yeah,
And as far as people like to talk about, it's quote unquote sustainable. So it helps tell the story of, oh yeah, it's earthy, we're back and all of that. So I think that's an interesting way of considering it. In terms of shapes, from what you've seen, do you think structured, not structured, where do you see it going in your opinion?
I saw a lot of big bags for the day, and if it's a big bag, it usually tends to be a slouchy and rather not sturdy. It tends to be slouchy, not sturdy. So in that sense, I think the shapes are becoming more statement, because if you have like 5 seconds time on social, I don't know,
Right.
you have to have a statement shape, and or
Yes.
if you don't have a statement color, you have to have
Yep.
that. So
Yep.
when we're talking about bags that smaller bags, they have statement shapes.
Yep. Why do you think slouchy is still in? What do you think the reason for it is?
It used to be when I was young, it's around the 2000s, in a sense, and it kind of ties up with this revival. But at the same time, it has an urban aesthetic just because it's functional. I mean, a slouch bag can hold everything, and it doesn't easily look disheveled just because it is by itself. On the other hand, it's very difficult for me to see a slouchy bag on a very formal meeting in the morning. So I'm not sure how functional they can be to women that work in corporate. But for overall urban environment, I see them here in Greece as well. They totally work.
Hi, and welcome to Handbag Designer 101, the podcast with your host, Emily Blumenthal, handbag industry expert and the handbag fairy godmother. Each week, we uncover the stories behind the handbags we love, from the iconic brands and top designers to the creativity, craftsmanship, and culture that define the handbag world. Whether you're a designer, collector, or simply passionate about handbags, this is your front row seat to it all. You've touched on something now, in Greece, being in a warmer climate and also not being in Paris, not being in London, not
Yeah,
being in a city that people consider a primary fashion city. We have a lot of designers, and I deal with a lot of people who are not in major cities. And it's like, it's not so much they have guilt, but they have FOMO. They really feel like they need to be in the major cities. If they make it to a major city, whether it's selling, whether it's a runway show, all of that nonsense, that they need that for validation, they need it for sales. And the biggest takeaway that I always say is that you're better off being the hometown hero where you are and making more money and having an impact on a local level. I don't mean so much as like in terms of giving back, right? This isn't philanthropy, but it's, you don't need to be in London or Paris to truly have an impact on local style and culture. No? Don't you agree?
I agree. I often say that you have to be where your audience is. And when you're in Greece and you have materials available, for example, we talked raffia, okay? In Greece, we have warm climate most of the year round.
Yeah.
So we never actually had a season without a raffia presence around. Just because it's warm climate, I'm gonna buy one also. I buy one every year, every beginning of summer. And if someone's doing great work on, say, raffia banks here, it's easier for me, and I would feel more emotionally attached to the narrative of
because they're
of the
Greek.
band. Yeah,
Also
exactly.
be
It means
yeah,
because it means something for me. It creates culture for me. I see it. Than say going to Paris to buy one there,
right. It's
and I
so
I'll do it every day.
yeah, no, and I think you also said something really interesting that a lot of people also forget, and I talk about this in my class. You know, the store Urban Outfitters, like just in New York City, the assortment that's available on the Upper East Side is not the same as it is in the East Village. So when you're designing for people, you have to not even so much design for your customer, but also design for their climate. And the warmer the climate, the warmer the material, the warmer the color, not the material, but the warmer the color. The colder it is, the darker more people are like more likely to wear. Like my sister-in-law is visiting and she's from a warm country, and I looked at her suitcase and everything is beige and neutral, and and I took out my stuff from the laundry and it's all a big pile of black. And she looked and she's like, "Why are you so, this is so depressing, culturally. Like, why would you wear black every day?" And I said, "It's just normal." And I said, "Well, why, what are you doing wearing beige every day?" She said, "Because it's warm. I'm not going to walk around in black every day. That's crazy." So I think
Yeah, true.
it's so funny, right? And even taking into consideration the color, but how product will hang and how heavy it'll hang on you and in a warm climate. And so many people don't even take that into consideration when designing. And I think it's such a missed opportunity
Yeah, and I think wait, there's a meme online that says it's very difficult to be a goth in the summer.
to be a goat in the summer.
A goth because
Oh,
goth
goth.
aesthetic
Oh,
isn't easy. Like it isn't easy to be goth in Greece
yeah,
and in the summer.
you
For
cannot be
example,
goth in the summer.
I wear mostly black and have colorful accessories. But here at the main case, yeah, people do dress for the as you described for the warmer climate, and this has shaped some of the micro trends that happen here and in other warm climate. Because I guess, for example, sandals are the big thing in say New York or all seasons, but here we start from and we are here like April, and some people are sporting sandals already. So this is a market which is huge for a country like Greece, and it has also a deep emotional connection with the history. Same with this type of bikes that you can find when you go to tourist shops. If you see them,
Right.
those are really popular here. The leather
Yeah,
ones.
it's one of those things, and it's funny because someone like from here can go on vacation, go to Greece, see the bags that are in the tourist shops there and think, "Oh my god, wow, if only I brought that style home." And then they bring it home and everyone's like, "Oh, it's enough that I was inspired by my summer in Greece." And then someone Greek would be like, "Come on, man, this is a tourist bag. Like, we're not getting excited over that." So I think there's
Yeah.
something to be said about like pulling a micro trend or a staple from one culture to another, especially being in Greece and writing about trends. Do you think that affects your perspective? Not in a negative way, but seeing things like across all cultures and then seeing it from how where someone where you are would see it, because that content is received in a different way. I mean, 100 million years ago, I worked for CNN International, and
Okay.
I was there at the time when they had just come up with this brilliant idea to localize it. In every country had its own language. And everyone was saying how wildly interesting that was. And it's like, well, Europe is not the US. Every state in the US speaks English, amongst other languages. Every country in Europe does not. So you have to look at things from a localized level because things sell better when it's localized.
I think so, yes. When I used to live in London, I had the illusion I'm grasping everything just because I'm living in London, which is not the case. And even traveling to Paris gives you the impression that, oh, everything that's happening is here. And if you ask my friend who's right now in New York, she's going to tell you that everything's happening in New York. But when I moved to Greece, and I thought that would be a disaster, and they did, and it helped me a lot to stay in touch with things, and of course traveling. But the overall idea I got is that now that the actual sense of trends in the sense of 6 months or 1 year type of things that used to be pre TikTok era isn't happening anyway. So I'm not obliged to be acknowledging it either. I'd rather speak about trends from a cultural perspective. And that cultural perspective, unavoidable, is my own
Yeah,
and
yeah.
nobody else.
Do you take that into consideration when you're writing? Because I know based on the assignments you're given, obviously you have to look at the news source and who's going to be reading it. Like anything, like any designer, I got to design, as you said so thoughtfully, you got to design for your audience. You have to write for your audience too.
Mm, depends on the assignment. If it's for a media outlet, I do get in perspective, and the editors usually doesn't let you to forget it. The
It's so true.
yeah, yeah, the readers, let's say baseline, the baseline of what the readers are actually expecting from, which is fair because it's their own shop, as I say. But on my Substack, I write for the people that I would like to read my stuff, and I'm thankful if they like to read it also. For my clan, if I can say my tribe, I think it's been overused, that word, but it means something.
Yeah, the other word that's been overused, curated. I hate that word. I always have to apologize when I say it or throw in a disclaimer because it's overdone. It's a curated collection. Well, every collection is curated. I would hope it would be that you were thoughtful in terms of picking out what
Yeah,
you're going to present. I'm just going to throw all the
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
out, and
True.
all the crap out for everyone to think about. So, you know what? No, it's curated, of course. Like, it should be
Mm.
understood. Ilya, this has been so enlightening. I want to invite everybody to follow you on Substack. How can we find you, follow you moving forward?
I have an Instagram which is Ilya Sibyl, my first two names, and I'm desperately trying to avoid TikTok, but I'm guilty
Me
because
too.
I have an account just for peeping into mm, and seeing what's happening, like like the old man from the window kind of thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, and purely on my Substack right now, which is the skytitle.com. There's a
Okay,
googling that.
so and that's okay, and that's Ilya, IliasYbil,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
your
it is.
Substack
Mm.
is the style title on Substack.
Substack.com. I don't think it has the USB before it, but they'll find it anywhere if they Google it. I think.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It has been surprisingly fun. I'm
It's always fun.
you know what? I'm usually anxious because I do have a very hard accent in English, but I felt totally relaxed that I owe it to you. So I'm very happy I've been here.
Well, I think you're an absolute delight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and review and follow us on every single platform at Handbag Designer. Thanks so much. See you next time.